Hello members, this is the third video in a series of videos that was going over a student essay that I took from an SAT study guide. Now the first video was going over kind of the properties of a good solid essay, the structure of a good solid essay, and how the student in this example did a good job of making his thesis known, presenting his argument, and kind of following the steps and explaining each of those or just the first one in his first body paragraph. So he set up his introduction in his first body paragraph very well. However, the purpose of that essay in the study guide was to test the students, and which will be the purpose of any kind of essay like this on a standardized test, is to test the students on whether or not they know what revisions need to be made to an essay. So it's testing their ability to revise an essay. Okay, so now this is the second video going over the second question in that portion of the study guide. Okay, so without further ado, I'll just go ahead and read it to you. All right, actually, just a second before we go into that, what I've done here is I've written the thesis also. So that's going to be important to keep in mind when we go through this essay and make revisions to it, because we want to follow a certain theme. We want to know what it is, what the argument is, and how we can go about proving it, what we need to prove, or what we need to say about our argument to make a very good sound paper. Okay, so it's always a good idea whenever writing an essay to always look back and think back and on your thesis and kind of ask yourself, well, does this go in line with supporting my thesis? Because if it doesn't, then it doesn't have the makings of a very good essay. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and read the thesis first, and then start to read the second body paragraph and third body paragraph of the said essay that I took from the study guide. So the thesis says the style, sound, and technology. The style, sound, technology, and lyrics have been altered greatly. Now, remember in his first topic sentence of the introduction paragraph, what he was talking about how music has changed over the past 3 decades. Okay, and this was his thesis. So these are the reasons that he provides for music changing over the last 30 years so greatly. Okay, so we need to remember this when we're going through here and when we're making revisions to this essay. Another way in which music has changed is lyrics. When you listen to certain heavy metal or rap groups, one may notice foul and obscene language used. Some of the references to sex are shocking. In past eras, such language in recorded music was unheard of. Technological changes in music have occurred. With the advent of highly advanced musical devices and many digital effects, the sounds of music have been completely altered. Rock and roll was invented in the early 1950s. When you listen to heavy metal, you hear more distorted guitar sounds than in music of the 60s and 70s. Okay, now the question that we're going to be going over is it only pertains to the second body paragraph, which is this here. So I'm going to go ahead and read the question. It is, considering the sentences that precede and follow sentence 10, which is the best revision of sentence 10? So we have A, listening to certain heavy metal or rap groups, lyrics containing obscene language are often heard. B, obscene language is common in the songs of heavy metal and rap groups. C, certain heavy metal and rap groups use foul and obscene language. D, obscenities are often heard when one listens to the lyrics of certain heavy metal or rap groups. Or E, listening to the obscene language and listening to the lyrics of certain heavy metal or rap groups. Now, right off the bat, we can eliminate E. Do you know why? Well, we can eliminate E because it's an incomplete sentence and it's an incomplete thought. Right? Let's read it one more time. Listening to the obscene language and listening to the lyrics of certain heavy metal or rap groups, what? It kind of leaves you hanging. It's not a complete thought, right? And also, it used some extraneous words, some words that you don't need to use it extra, okay? He said listening to twice, okay? And the only thing that's different that he's talking about, you're listening to two things, but you don't have to say them separately like that, listening to the obscene language and listening to the lyrics. You could have just said listening to the obscene language and lyrics, okay? That would have been much more fluent, right? So we can, all right off the bat, we can eliminate that one because it's the worst option that we have. Now let's take a look at A. Listening to certain heavy metal or rap groups, lyrics containing obscene language are often heard. Now, the problem with A is it's a little too wordy. A good thing to keep in mind when writing an essay or revising an essay is that you want to be very clear and concise about presenting your arguments and the evidences for your arguments. You don't need to be too wordy and go on and on about what you're saying. If you can say it in a more concise and clear way, always go that route. Now you see what this person did in this, what they did in this choice is we have two clauses separated by a comma, right? It's a very long thought, and it doesn't need to be that way because there's a much easier, much fluent, and much more concise way of saying the same thing. So we can go ahead and eliminate that as well. Okay. Now, obscene language is common in the songs of heavy metal and rap groups. Now remember, the question says we have to consider the sentences that go before and after 10. Okay, so let's put this one in here. Another way in which music has changed is lyrics. And now, obscene language is common in the songs of heavy metal and rap groups. Some of the references to sex are shocking. Now that sounds pretty good to me. And actually, let's just say, well, I'll just tell you that the answer is actually B. Now, why is that? Remember why I said A is wrong? Because it was too wordy and it went on for a long, long time. You don't need to say that. You don't need to do that because there's a way in which you can be much more clear and much more concise and say what you want to say in a very short sentence. And that's exactly what choice B does. Okay. Now, the reason choice B is so good is because what we have here is we have the, sorry, I'm on a screen. We have the topic sentence of the second body paragraph, which is another way in which music has changed its lyrics. So it tells us in that body paragraph what we're going to be talking about, right? So, and that's the purpose of the first topic sentence. Remember in the introduction, the first topic sentence told us what the reader was going to be writing about. Now, in this topic sentence of the second body paragraph, he tells us what exactly he's going to be talking about in that paragraph, which is how lyrics have changed. Okay. Now, a good way to follow this is to support it with an evidence, a piece of evidence or a statement, which is to say, obscene language is common in songs of heavy metal rap groups, because this is very vague. Okay. Now, he moves in to use B. It would be that whole technique of being vague, starting vague, and getting more specific. Okay, and that's exactly what choice B does. The first topic sentence is very vague, and then it gets very specific with the next one, telling us exactly how the lyrics have changed. Okay, because we have obscene language being common in heavy metal and rap groups. Okay, so this is actually the answer. But for the sake of being thorough, let's go over the last two and say why they're not okay. C says certain heavy metal and rap groups use foul and obscene language. Well, this is the same idea here, okay? But it's better to say it like the way it is in B because it's, like I said, it's much more clear and concise. This is kind of awkward. Certain heavy metal and rap groups use foul and obscene language. Okay, well, certain heavy metal groups, if you say certain heavy metal groups like that, then it would be a good idea to give me exact examples of which heavy metal and rap groups you're talking about. So I would be awkward here because we don't have that after sentence 10. What we have in sentence 10 is telling us some of the references to sex are shocking. So it wouldn't be good to use C because then the reader would be expecting for him to give examples of these heavy metal and rap groups which have explicit language in their lyrics, which he doesn't do. So that one's not a good idea to use just because he didn't provide those rap groups or metal groups. Okay, now the next one, D. Obscenities are often heard when one listens to the lyrics of certain heavy metal or rap groups. Now D is incorrect for the same reason that A is incorrect. It's too wordy, and you don't need to say all that. You can see how he said he communicated the same idea with B, and it's very short and very concise. It gets right to the point. Okay. Now we have more subjects that we need to be, more ways in which music has changed that need to be discussed, okay? So, and for the sake of being clear and organized and concise in your argument, just be very clear and make the sentences short and to the point. Don't get flowery and wordy with your sentences, okay? Now we know that B is the correct answer. Now there's one more mistake that I want to ask you if you saw in this video, okay, when talking about this particular body paragraph. If you remember, in the first body paragraph, we talked about the stylistic and the lyrical change of music, okay? The lyrical change was brought up, not in depth, but very briefly, okay? Okay, you could interpret that there was a lyrical change in music through what he talked about in the first body paragraph. Now, what we're talking about in the second body paragraph is lyrics. But if you notice in his thesis, what aspect of music did he put second? He put sound, but he didn't discuss sound in the second body paragraph. This is another mistake in this paper, right? It's very important because organization is key when writing an essay. You want to be very organized. And if you're not organized, like this example here, you will have points taken off on either a school essay that you have to do for a teacher or on a standardized test. Okay, so it wasn't a good idea for him to jump topics like that in his thesis. If the first body paragraph was talking about style, mostly a stylistic change to music and a little bit lyrical, his second body paragraph should have been talking about the sound of music. If he didn't want to make so many body paragraphs, because technically in each body paragraph he should talk about each of these aspects of music. The first body paragraph should be style, the second sound, the third technology, and the fourth lyrics. If he didn't want to make it so long, he could have coupled them. The first one could have been about sound and style and sound, and the second one could have been about technology and lyrics, in which case he would have had two body paragraphs in his essay. Okay. Well, that's the video, guys. I hope you liked the video. If you do, be sure to leave me a comment in the comments section. If you want to contact me about information on tutoring, feel free to email me at jeteducate@gmail.com or shoot me a message in Facebook Messenger. Thanks, guys.